The war was over. Park stood on the observation deck of the and looked down at the burning world below. 3 months had passed since the last battle, but fires still burned across the humans had won. That was what everyone kept saying. But standing here, watching smoke rise from cities that once held millions of lives, did not feel like a winner. He was 32 years old. Before the war, he had been a medical student in Seoul. He had wanted to help people, to heal them. Instead, the military had made him a combat medic. For 4 years, he had watched young soldiers die in his arms. He had learned that some wounds cannot be fixed, no matter how hard you try. A voice came through the ship's speakers. All decorated personnel report to Cargo Bay 7 for the distribution ceremony. Closed his eyes. He had heard about this ceremony. Everyone had. After the surrender, the human high command had made a decision that many soldiers found disturbing. They would adopt an old custom. Conquered people would be given to decorated soldiers as servants. Slaves, really, though no one used that word. The generals said it was political. They said it would break the spirit and show them that their own customs could be used against them. Thought it was wrong. War had already taken so much from him. He did not want to take anything more from anyone. But refusing to attend would be considered disobedience. So put on his dress uniform and walked to Cargo Bay 7. The bay was large and cold. Hundreds of soldiers stood in neat rows, their medals shining under the bright lights. On the other side of the bay, behind a line of armed guards, stood the prisoners. Had seen before, of course. He had treated wounded prisoners during the war. They were humanoid but different. Their skin came in shades of silver and pale blue. Their eyes were large and dark, like deep pools of water. Some humans thought they were beautiful. Others thought they were monsters. A general stood on a raised platform and spoke into a microphone. He talked about human victory and defeat. He talked about honor and reward. Did not listen. He was looking at the prisoners. Most of them stared at the ground. Some were crying. A few looked angry, defiant, but all of them looked afraid. When his name was called, he walked forward slowly. His stomach felt tight. A guard led him to a female standing alone near the edge of the group. She was tall for almost as tall as. Her skin was silver, so pale it almost glowed. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders. Her eyes were violet, deep and sad. She wore simple gray clothes that marked her as a prisoner. Around her neck was a metal collar with a small light that blinked red. "Sergeant Park," the guard said, reading from a tablet, "for exceptional service as a combat medic during the Siege of Prime. You are awarded this female, designated as former scholar of the 3rd Academy. She is now your property under Allied Command Order 447. Property, the word made feel sick. The guard removed a small device from his belt and pressed it into his hand. This controls her collar. If she tries to escape or harm you, press the red button. It will. He made a gesture. Understood. The collar could kill her. I understand, said quietly. He did not look at the device. He looked at. She met his eyes. In her gaze he saw fear, but also something else. Defiance. Pride. She expected him to hurt her. She was preparing herself for it. Recognized that look. He had seen it on the faces of wounded soldiers who knew they were going to die. Come with me, he said softly. He turned and walked toward the exit. After a moment, he heard her footsteps behind him. They walked through the ship's corridors in silence. Other soldiers passed them, some leading their own servants. Kept his eyes forward. He did not want to see what was happening around him. His quarters were small, just a bed, a desk, a chair, and a tiny bathroom. There was barely enough room for one person, let alone two. Stepped inside and turned to face. She stood in the doorway, her hands clasped in front of her. Her face was blank, but her body was tense. She was waiting for him to give her an order, or to hurt her. Sighed, he sat down on the edge of his bed and rubbed his face with his hands. He was tired, so tired. Do you speak Standard? He asked. Yes, her voice was quiet but clear. Good, he looked up at her. I am not going to hurt you. She did not react. She did not believe him. Why would she? The Empire had treated their slaves horribly. She expected humans to be the same, maybe worse. I did not ask for this, continued. I do not want to own anyone. I think this whole thing is wrong, but if I refuse you, they will give you to someone else, someone who might not. He stopped. He did not know how to finish that sentence. Watched him carefully. What do you want from me? It was a fair question. Thought about it. I want you to be safe. I want you to be treated like a person, not a thing. Beyond that, I do not know yet. I am still trying to figure this out myself. You could free me, she said. I could, he agreed. But where would you go? The war destroyed most of your world. The who are still free consider slaves like you to be tainted. They would not accept you back. And among humans, a freed with no protector would be in danger. His jaw tightened. She knew he was right. That was the part of this whole system. Even freedom was not really freedom. So I am trapped, she said. For now, said, I am sorry, I know that does not help, but I want you to know that I will not treat you the way you expect. You will not serve me, you will not. He could not say the words. You will be safe here. That is the only promise I can make. Studied him for a long moment. Could not tell what she was thinking. Finally, she nodded slowly. I will stay, she said, for now. There is only one bed, said. You take it, I will sleep on the floor. For the first time, something like surprise crossed her face. The floor. I have slept in worse places during the war. The floor will be fine. Did not argue. She moved to the bed and sat down on the edge, her hands folded in her lap. She still looked tense, still looked afraid. But something in her eyes had changed. A tiny crack in the wall she had built around herself. Went to the small closet and pulled out a blanket. As he spread it on the floor, a message appeared on his personal tablet. He picked it up and read it. New orders. He was being deployed to the outer colonies. A planet called New, 8 weeks away by transport ship, peacekeeping duty. And because was now his property, she would have to come with him. If he left her behind, she would be redistributed to another soldier. He looked at her. We are leaving this ship soon. I have been assigned to a colony on the edge of human space. You will come with me. I have no choice, she said simply. No, admitted, neither of us does. He lay down on the hard floor and stared at the ceiling. In the bed above him was silent, wondered what she was thinking. He wondered what tomorrow would bring. The war was over, but for both of them, a different kind of battle was just beginning. The transport ship was old and crowded. 300 soldiers and 50 servants shared its metal corridors. The journey to New would take 8 weeks, and those weeks would change everything. In the first days, barely spoke. She stayed in the small quarters, sitting on the bed with her hands in her lap. She ate the food brought her, but only a little. She slept, but not well. Could hear her moving at night, restless and afraid. He gave her space. He did not ask questions. He went to his duties during the day and returned in the evening. Sometimes he read books on his tablet. Sometimes he just sat quietly. He wanted her to see that he would not hurt her. Words meant nothing. Only time could prove his intentions. On the 5th day, she spoke to him first. Why do you read so much? Looked up from his tablet. Was watching him from the bed, her violet eyes curious. I like stories, he said. Before the war, I wanted to be a doctor. I spent years reading medical books. Now I prefer fiction. It helps me forget. Forget what? The things I saw during the war. He paused. The things I did. Was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, what did you do? It was a simple question, but felt its weight. He thought about the battles, the blood, the dying soldiers who called for their mothers. He thought about the prisoners he had treated, some of whom died despite his best efforts. He thought about his sister. I tried to save people, he said finally. Sometimes I succeeded. Most times I failed. I watched too many young men die. I held their hands while they took their last breaths, and I kept going because there was always another wounded soldier who needed help. Nodded slowly. You are a healer. I do not know what I am now. She did not respond to that, but something in her posture changed. She was a little less tense, a little less afraid. It was a small change, but noticed it. Over the following days, they began to talk more. Learned that had been a scholar at one of the academies. She had studied biology, specifically how different species adapted to their environments. She had been good at her work, respected, until the war came and destroyed everything. When the humans attacked our world, the academies were closed, she said one evening. Scholars were sent to work in factories or hospitals. I worked in a hospital for 2 years. I saw many of my people die. I am sorry, said. Why, you are human. Your people killed them. I did not want this war. I did not choose to fight. I was just a medical student who got drafted. He paused. And being sorry for suffering does not require being responsible for it. Considered this. That is an unusual way to think. Maybe, but it is how I think. A knock came at the door. Opened it to find Captain standing in the corridor. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a serious face. She commanded with quiet authority. Sergeant Park, she said, I wanted to check on you. Some of the men have reported concerns about your arrangement. Knew what she meant. Other soldiers had noticed that was not serving him like the other servants. They had noticed that she slept in the bed while he slept on the floor. They thought it was strange. I am treating her humanely, said. Is that against regulations? Captain studied him for a moment. Then she smiled slightly. No, it is not. I just wanted to make sure you understand that not everyone will approve. I understand. She glanced past him at who sat silently on the bed. They are a proud people. They do not understand kindness without expectation. It confuses them. Maybe confusion is better than fear, said. Captain nodded. Maybe it is. She turned and walked away. The weeks passed slowly and developed a routine. In the mornings, he went to his duties. In the afternoons, he returned and they talked. He taught her to play card games. She taught him words in the language. They were not friends exactly, but they were becoming something. Two strangers learning to trust each other. One evening, a commotion in the corridor drew outside. He found Private shouting at a servant, a young male with blue skin and trembling hands. Was young, barely 20, with a cruel smile and angry eyes. I told you to clean my boots, shouted. He slapped the across the face. Are you stupid? Do it again. Stepped forward. That is enough. Turned, his eyes narrowed. Mind your own business, Sergeant. This is my property. He is a person, not property. The law says otherwise, smiled. What, are you one of those alien lovers? I heard you let your sleep in your bed while you sleep on the floor. Pathetic. His hands clenched into fists. He thought about hitting. He thought about the satisfaction of breaking that cruel smile. But he had spent 4 years watching violence solve nothing. So he took a breath and kept his voice calm. The war is over. We won. There is no need for cruelty. Cruelty? Laughed. They bombed Earth. They killed millions of people. My parents died in the Soul attack. This is justice. This is not justice. This is revenge. They are different things. His face darkened. He stepped toward, his hands raised. But before he could move, Captain appeared in the corridor. What is going on here? Both men snapped to attention, spoke first. Nothing, Captain, just a disagreement. Captain looked at the trembling servant, at its clenched fists, at its angry face. She understood everything. Return to your quarters, she said. Both of you now. They obeyed, went back to his room and sat down heavily on the floor. His hands were shaking, watched him from the bed. You stood up for that, she said. Yes. Why? Thought about the question. He thought about his sister, who had died in the bombing of Seoul. He thought about the rage he had felt when he learned she was gone. He thought about how easy it would be to let that rage turn him into something like. Because if I let them treat your people like animals, then all the death was for nothing. We fought the war because the empire was cruel. If we become just as cruel, what was the point? Was silent for a long time. Then she said something that surprised him. My people created weapons during the war, biological weapons, diseases designed to kill only humans. She paused. I helped design them. Felt his stomach tighten. What? The military came to my academy and demanded we help the war effort. I refused at first. Then they threatened my family, so I worked on the weapons for 6 months. We created a virus that could kill a human in 3 days. Her voice was flat, emotionless. Then I learned that my family had already been killed in a human attack. I had done evil things for nothing. What did you do? I destroyed the research, all of it. I burned the laboratory and ran. That is why I was captured. The military was looking for me when your soldiers found me. Stared at her. He did not know what to say. She had helped create weapons that could have killed millions of his people, but she had also destroyed them. She had risked her life to stop the evil she had helped create. You could have told me this before, he said. Would you have treated me the same if you knew? It was a fair question, thought about it honestly. I do not know, maybe not at first, but I would like to think I would have understood eventually. You are strange, Park. You do not react the way I expect. He laughed softly. I have been told that before. They sat in silence as the ship carried them through the darkness of space. Outside, stars burned with cold light. Ahead, the colony of New waited. Spoke again. The knowledge I have could be valuable. The humans might want it, or they might want to punish me for what I did. Then we do not tell them, said. Not yet. Not until we understand what kind of place New is. You would protect me, even knowing what I did. Met her eyes. You tried to fix your mistake. That matters, and right now I am the only protection you have, so yes, I will protect you. For the first time since they had met, smiled. It was small and uncertain, but it was real. Thank you, she said softly. Do not thank me yet. We still have a long journey ahead. But as lay on the cold floor that night, listening to quiet breathing above him, he felt something he had not felt in years. Hope. New was a world of red mountains and gray skis. Terraforming machines worked day and night, slowly turning the alien soil into something that could grow Earth crops. The colony was young, only 10 years old, and everything still felt temporary. Metal buildings, dirt roads, and the smell of chemicals in the air. And arrived on a cold morning. The transport ship landed at a small spaceport on the edge of the main settlement. As they walked down the ramp, saw the colony for the first time. It was larger than he expected. Thousands of humans lived here, along with several hundred refugees who had been relocated after the war. A soldier met them at the gate. He led to a small house on the edge of the settlement. It was simple but clean. 2 rooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. After months of sharing a tiny ship cabin, it felt like a palace. Report to the garrison tomorrow morning, the soldier said. You will be assigned to patrol duty. Keep the peace between the humans and should not be too hard. They mostly stay away from each other. After the soldier left, looked around the house. Stood near the window, looking out at the strange red landscape. It is beautiful, she said quietly, in a harsh way. It is different from Earth, agreed, but it could be home eventually. Home, said the word like she was testing it. I do not remember what that feels like. Understood, he felt the same way. The first weeks in New passed quickly. Worked patrol duty, walking the streets of the settlement and watching for trouble. The tension between humans and was real but mostly quiet. They lived in separate areas and rarely spoke to each other. When they did meet, the conversations were short and cold. Stayed in the house at first. She was still officially's property, which meant she could not work or own anything. She could not even walk alone without risking harassment from humans who saw her as an enemy. It was a prison made of laws instead of walls. She hated it, could see the frustration building inside her. She was a scientist, a scholar, a person with knowledge and skills. Being trapped in a small house with nothing to do was torture for her. "I need to work," she told him one evening. "I need to do something useful. I am going crazy sitting here all day." Knew she was right. "Let me see what I can find." He started asking questions. He talked to other soldiers, to administrators, to anyone who might know of opportunities. Most people looked at him strangely. Why would he want his servant to work? The whole point of having a servant was that they served you. But then he met Dr. was working at the colony's small research station. She was young, maybe 30, with curious eyes and an open smile. When mentioned that had a background in biology, his face lit up. "Oh, that is incredible. They have been studying alien life for thousands of years. Their knowledge of adaptation and survival in harsh environments is amazing. Could I meet her?" Brought to the research station the next day. Welcomed her warmly, without any of the suspicion or hostility that other humans showed. They talked for hours about biology, about the challenges of terraforming, about the differences between Earth life and life. "Your understanding of soil chemistry is remarkable," said. "The techniques for adapting plants to new environments could help us speed up terraforming by years. Would you like to work with me? Unofficially, of course. I cannot pay you or list you as staff, but you could help with the research." Looked at, he nodded. "Yes," she said too, "I would like that very much." For the first time since arriving on New, had a purpose. She went to the research station every day, working alongside on terraforming projects. She studied the local soil, tested different plant varieties, and developed new techniques for making the land fertile. But not everyone was happy about it. Elder was the leader of the refugee community. He was old, with dark blue skin and deep lines on his face. He had lost his entire family in the war, and he hated seeing any cooperate with humans. One day was walking through the section of the settlement when stepped in front of her. "You are the one who lives with the human soldier," he said. His voice was cold. "I am," replied. "You work with human scientists. You help them change this world to suit their needs. You have forgotten what you are." "I have not forgotten anything. I am trying to survive." "Survival at any cost is not survival, it is surrender." Looked at her with disgust. "You are a traitor to your people, a collaborator. The other will not accept you. You belong nowhere now, not with us, not with them." He walked away, leaving standing alone in the street. She returned to the house that evening with red eyes and a tight jaw. Saw her pain. What happened? She told him about the accusations, about being called a traitor. "He is wrong," said. "Is he? I work with humans, I live with a human. I help them make this world their own. From his perspective, I am betraying my people." "You are surviving. You are adapting. That is not betrayal, that is strength." Shook her head. "You do not understand. Among loyalty to your people is everything. We do not have individuals the way humans do. We are parts of a whole. When I separated from that whole, I became nothing." "Then maybe," said carefully, "it is time to become something new. Something that is not or human but something else. Something that belongs to you." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she laughed softly. "You really are strange, Park." "So I have been told." The weeks passed. His work at the research station continued. She made progress on the terraforming projects, praised her constantly. Even some of the human scientists began to respect her knowledge. But the tension in the colony was growing. A water processing facility broke down. It was a critical piece of infrastructure that served both human and communities. Without clean water, people would get sick. Repairs would take weeks. Governor Sun called a meeting. She was a tall woman with tired eyes and gray hair. She had been running the colony for 5 years, trying to hold everything together with limited resources and too many problems. "We need to find a temporary solution," she said. "Something to clean the water until the facility is repaired." "Spoke up. I know someone who might be able to help, a scientist with knowledge of biological filtration systems." The room went silent. The human engineers looked at each other uneasily. One of them said, "You want us to trust her with our water supply?" "She is brilliant," said. "She has knowledge that we do not have. She could save lives." Governor studied him. "Bring her to me." Brought to the governor's office. The engineers watched her with suspicion as she examined the water samples and studied the broken facility designs. "I can do it," she said finally. "There is a technique using engineered bacteria to filter toxins from water. It will take a few days to prepare, but it will work." "How do we know this is not sabotage?" one engineer demanded. "She could poison the whole colony." "If I wanted to harm humans, I have had many opportunities," said calmly. "I have been living among you for months. I could have done many things, but I am not your enemy. I am just trying to help." Governor made a decision. "Do it. We do not have other options." Worked for 3 days. She created the bacterial cultures, tested them, adjusted them, helped her. Some of the human engineers watched nervously, but when she was finished, the water was clean, cleaner than it had been before the facility broke. For the first time, had proven her value to the colony, not as a servant or a curiosity, but as a scientist, as a person whose knowledge could save lives. Governor called her into her office after the crisis was resolved. "You did good work," the governor said. "I am going to push for your legal emancipation. It will take time. There is a lot of paperwork and politics, but I think you deserve to be free." Bowed her head, "Thank you." That night found her standing outside the house, looking up at the stars. "Everything is changing," she said. "Yes. I am afraid." "Of what?" "Of hopping. Every time I hope for something good, something terrible happens. It is easier to expect nothing." Stood beside her. "Hope is not easy, but it is necessary. Without it, we are just surviving. We are not living." Was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "You give me hope, Park. I do not know if I can forgive you for that." He smiled. "I will take my chances." Above them the terraforming machines hummed. The colony slept, and somewhere in the distance trouble was brewing. The next morning, a bomb exploded at a human supply depot. 12 people died, including Private. The colony was thrown into chaos. And everything changed again. The explosion tore through the supply depot at dawn. Was eating breakfast when he heard it. The sound shook the windows of his house. Before the echoes faded, he was already running toward the smoke. The depot was destroyed. Fire and twisted metal filled the air with the smell of burning chemicals. Bodies lay scattered on the ground. Some were moving, crying for help. Others were still. Medical training took over. He ran to the nearest wounded person and began treating their burns. Other soldiers arrived and joined him. They worked for hours, pulling survivors from the wreckage and trying to save whoever they could. 12 people died that day. Private was among them. Remembered's cruel smile, his angry words, his hatred for the. Now he was dead, killed by a bomb that investigators quickly determined was made. The explosives used techniques that only knew. By noon, the colony was in chaos. Human mobs formed in the streets. They carried weapons and shouted for revenge. Some attacked homes and businesses. Others gathered outside the section of the settlement, demanding that all be rounded up and punished. Governor declared martial law. Soldiers were deployed to keep order, but many of those soldiers sympathized with the mobs. They had lost friends in the bombing. They wanted someone to pay. Was assigned to protect the section. He stood at the entrance with a small group of soldiers, facing a crowd of angry humans who demanded they step aside. "Let us through," a man shouted. "They killed our people, they need to pay." "We do not know who did this yet," said, trying to keep his voice calm. "The investigation is ongoing. We cannot punish all for the actions of a few. They are all the same, they all hate us." The crowd pushed forward. Fellow soldiers raised their weapons. The situation was about to explode. Then Governor's voice came through the speakers. "All civilians return to your homes immediately. Anyone found in the streets after this announcement will be arrested. This is your only warning." The crowd hesitated. Some people left, others stayed, but they stopped pushing. The immediate danger passed. But the damage was done. Over the next few days, attacks on continued. Businesses were burned. People were beaten. Some tried to flee the colony, but there was nowhere to go. Was working at the research station when the mob came. She was in the laboratory when they heard shouting outside. A group of humans had surrounded the building, demanding that the alien traitor be turned over to them. Hyde said, "There is a storage room in the back. Go there and lock the door." "What about you?" "I will talk to them. I will delay them." Ran to the storage room and hid behind boxes of equipment. She heard his voice outside, calm and reasonable, trying to convince the mob to leave. Then she heard other sounds, shouting, breaking glass, a cry of pain. The mob broke down the door. Pressed herself against the wall, barely breathing. She heard footsteps in the laboratory, heard things being smashed and thrown. Someone said, "Where is she? Where is the alien?" They searched the building for 20 minutes, did not move, she did not make a sound. Finally, they left. When emerged from hiding, she found lying on the floor. Her face was bloody. One of her arms was bent at a wrong angle, but she was alive. "They beat me when I would not tell them where you were," said weakly. "I did not tell them. I did not." Tears ran down his face. "Why? Why would you suffer for me?" "Because you are my friend. Because you do not deserve this." Found them an hour later. He took to the medical center and brought back to their house. She sat on the bed, her hands shaking, her eyes distant. "I should leave," she said. "I am putting everyone in danger, you, everyone who helps me." "If you leave, they will kill you," said. "The mobs are hunting everywhere." "Maybe I deserve it. Maybe my people did this. Maybe we are as terrible as the humans think." Knelt in front of her and took her hands in his. "Listen to me. You are not responsible for what others do, just like I am not responsible for what other humans do. We are only responsible for our own choices, and your choices have been good. You saved lives with that water filtration. You worked hard to help this colony. That is who you are, not the actions of some terrorists. You say that, but your people do not see it that way. Then we will make them see it. We will show them that cooperation is possible, that humans can live together without hating each other." How? It was a good question, did not have an answer. The next day, Governor announced a controversial new policy. She was creating mixed human peacekeeping teams. Soldiers from both species would patrol the streets together, showing that cooperation was possible. Most humans refused to participate. The very idea of working alongside made them angry, but volunteered immediately. "I will do it," he told the governor. "Give me partners, I will make it work." Governor looked at him with tired eyes. "Why are you so determined to help them, Sergeant Park?" "Because if we do not learn to live together, the war never really ends. It just continues in a different form. Hatred and revenge and violence forever. I am tired of that. I want something better." The governor nodded slowly. "You remind me of someone I knew once. He believed in peace too. The war killed him," she sighed. "But perhaps you are right. Perhaps we need people who still believe even when belief seems foolish." That night there was a knock at his door. When he opened it, Elder stood outside. His hand moved toward his weapon. "What do you want?" "To talk, only to talk." The old looked exhausted, his blue skin pale with stress. "May I come in?" hesitated, then stepped aside, entered the house and saw sitting at the table. His face tightened. "I did not know she would be here," he said. "This is her home," replied. "Speak your piece." Was silent for a moment. Then he said, "I know who planted the bomb." Both and stared at him. "There is a group of who believe integration is impossible," continued. "They think the only way to protect our people is to drive the humans away through violence. They planned the bombing. I did not know about it until after it happened." "Why are you telling us this?" asked. "Because I want the violence to end. I hate what they did, but I cannot give this information to the humans. If I betray my people to the enemy, I lose all authority. The other will never trust me again. Our community will fall apart." "So you come to me," said bitterly. "The traitor, the collaborator, I have nothing left to lose, is that it?" Met her eyes. "Yes, that is exactly it. You are the only one who can do this. You can take this information to the humans because you are already seen as one of them. I am asking you to sacrifice your reputation among our people to save lives." "My reputation among our people is already destroyed. You made sure of that." The old bowed his head. "I know, and I am sorry. I was wrong about you. I see that now." He paused. "The people who did this are hiding in the abandoned processing plant near the southern mountains. They are planning more attacks. If you act quickly, you can stop them." Looked at, he saw the conflict in her eyes. If she gave this information to the humans, she would be confirming everything had said about her. A traitor, a collaborator. She would never be able to return to her people. But if she stayed silent, more people would die, humans and both. "What do you want to do?" asked her quietly. Closed her eyes. When she opened them, her decision was made. "I will tell them," she said, "but I want something in return. When this is over, I want to address the colony, humans and together. I want to explain why I did this. I want them to understand." Nodded. "I will support you, publicly. I will tell my people that you acted to save lives, not to betray them. And if they do not believe you, then at least we will have tried." Put his hand on shoulder. "You are not alone in this. I will stand with you, whatever happens." She placed her hand over his. "I know you will." The night was long, and the work ahead was dangerous. But for the first time, felt like they were moving towards something instead of just running away. Tomorrow, everything would change. Tomorrow would step forward and do something that no had ever done before. She would choose peace over loyalty, and she would ask both species to do the same. The raid on the abandoned processing plant happened at dawn. Led a team of soldiers through the Red Mountains, moving silently in the gray light. Had given them everything: the location, the number of insurgents, the weapons they carried. The battle was short and brutal. 7 insurgents were inside the plant. 5 surrendered. 2 fought back and were killed. In the wreckage, the soldiers found enough explosives to destroy half the colony. It was over, but for the hardest part was just beginning. Governor called a public assembly. Humans and gathered in the main square, separated by a line of soldiers. The tension was thick enough to touch. Everyone knew that I had provided the information that stopped the attacks. Everyone wanted to know who. Walked to the platform alone. She wore simple clothes, no collar, no chains. Had insisted on that. If she was going to face the colony, she would face them as a free person, even if the law still said otherwise. The crowd watched her with mixed expressions. Some humans looked grateful, others looked suspicious. Among them, most faces showed shock or anger, a few showed hope. Spoke clearly, her voice carrying across the square. "My name is, I was born on Prime. I was a scholar, a scientist. When the war came, I did terrible things. I helped create weapons that could have killed millions of humans. Then I destroyed that research and ran. That is why I was captured. That is how I came to be here." The crowd murmured. Some humans shouted angry words, continued. "I lived with a human soldier named Park. He treated me with kindness when I expected cruelty. He gave me hope when I had none. Because of him, I learned that humans are not all the same. Some are capable of great evil, but some are capable of great good. She paused, looking out at the crowd. When the bombing happened, I was horrified. Not because humans died, though that was terrible, but because I knew it would destroy any chance of peace. I knew it would lead to more violence, more hatred, more death. I did not want that. So when I learned who was responsible, I told the human authorities. Now the section of the crowd erupted. Shouts of traitor and collaborator filled the air. Elder raised his hands for silence, but it took several minutes for the noise to die down. I know what many of you think of me, said. I know you believe I betrayed my people, but I ask you to consider this. The insurgents who planted that bomb were planning more attacks, not just on humans but on any who tried to work with them. They believed that peace was impossible and that the only path forward was endless war. She looked directly at the crowd. I chose a different path. I chose to believe that we can be more than enemies, that we can build something new on this world together. I do not know if that belief is foolish. Maybe it is, but I would rather be foolish and hopeful than wise and full of hate. Silence fell over the square. Then slowly, Elder walked to the platform. He stood beside and faced his people. I came to her, he said. I told her about the insurgents because I wanted the violence to end. She sacrificed her reputation to save lives, both and human. That is not betrayal. That is courage. I was wrong about her. I see that now. They stared at their elder in shock. He had never apologized for anything. He had never admitted being wrong. This was unprecedented. Governor stepped forward. The Colonial Council has reviewed this case. In recognition of her service to this colony, including the water filtration system that saved thousands of lives and her role in stopping the insurgents, we are granting her full legal personhood. She is no longer property. She is a free citizen of New, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. A guard removed the blinking collar from his neck. It was the first time she had been without it since the day she was captured. Touched her bare neck, her eyes filling with tears. Watching from the crowd, felt his own eyes sting. The assembly ended quietly. Some humans applauded. Some walked away in anger, but most stood in silence, processing what they had witnessed. Something had changed. Everyone could feel it. That night there was a small ceremony at Governor's office. Just a few people. Her arms still in a cast, Elder and the Governor herself. This is not a perfect solution, Governor said. There will still be tension. There will still be people who hate and resist. But today we took a step. That matters. What happens now? Asked. Now we build. The Governor looked at each of them. I am creating a new integration council. Humans and working together on colony problems. I want you on it. Your scientific knowledge is valuable, but more importantly, you represent something. A bridge between our peoples. I do not know if I am the right person for that. There is no right person. There is only you. Will you try? Looked at, he nodded slightly. I will try, she said. The months that followed were not easy. There were setbacks and conflicts. Some humans refused to work with. Some refused to forgive for her testimony. Old wounds did not heal quickly. But slowly, things changed. Human children began learning biology in school. Refugees worked alongside human farmers, combining their agricultural knowledge. Mixed peacekeeping teams patrolled the streets without incident. It was fragile, imperfect progress, but it was real. Officially hired at the research station. For the first time, had a real job, a real salary, a real place in the colony. She threw herself into the work with a passion that surprised even herself. His tour of duty ended 6 months after the assembly. He received orders to return to Earth. The cities had been rebuilt, the government restored. He could go home, find peace, try to forget everything that had happened. He went to his office at the research station to tell her the news. She was looking at plant samples under a microscope when he entered. "My orders came through," he said. "I can go back to Earth." Looked up, her face was carefully blank. "That is good. You have been away from your home for a long time." "Yes." "When do you leave?" "Next transport is in 3 weeks." "I see." She turned back to her microscope. "I am happy for you. You deserve to find peace." Stood in the doorway watching her. He thought about Earth. He thought about the rebuilt cities, the graves of people he had known, the memories waiting there. He thought about silver skin glowing in the laboratory light, her violet eyes focused on her work, the way she smiled when she discovered something new. "I was thinking," he said slowly, "that maybe peace is not a place you find. Maybe it is something you build." Looked up again. "I was thinking," he continued, "that there is still a lot of work to do here. The terraforming is not finished. The integration is not complete. And you are doing some interesting research. It would be a shame to miss that." "What are you saying?" "I am saying I am going to stay, if you want me to." Stared at him. Then she stood up from her desk and walked toward him. "Why would you stay? You could go home. You could forget all of this." "I could, but I do not want to." He met her eyes. "This is where I want to be. This work matters. These people matter. You matter." "I matter." "Yes," he smiled slightly. "Not as property, not as a responsibility, as someone I want to know better, as an equal." Was silent for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. "You really are strange, Park. So you keep telling me. I would like you to stay." "Then I will." They stood together in the laboratory, hands clasped, as the red sun of new set outside the window. The terraforming machines hummed in the distance, reshaping the landscape one molecule at a time. That evening, they walked to the edge of the colony together. The mountains glowed in the fading light. Somewhere behind them, humans were sharing a meal at a community center that had not existed a year ago. Asked, what do humans see when they look at a new world? Considered the question. He thought about all the worlds humanity had reached for throughout history. He thought about the dreams and failures, the triumphs and tragedies. "A place where we get to decide who we want to be," he said finally. Was quiet for a moment, then she spoke. "Perhaps that is what the never understood about humanity. You are not strong because you cannot be broken. You are strong because you keep choosing to rebuild." Looked at her. Her silver skin glowed in the twilight. Her violet eyes reflected the distant stars. "We are all broken," he said. "Humans, everyone, the war broke us. But broken things can be put back together. Sometimes they become stronger for it." "Do you really believe that?" "I did not used to, but I do now." She smiled. It was the same small, uncertain smile he had seen on the ship months ago, but now there was something else behind it, something that looked like peace. "Then let us rebuild," she said, "together." They stood at the edge of the new world, watching the stars come out one by one. Behind them, the colony glowed with light and life. Ahead of them, the future waited, uncertain but full of possibility. The war was over, the healing had begun. And somewhere between the stars, humanity and the were learning something that both species had forgotten long ago. That the strongest thing anyone can do is choose kindness when cruelty would be easier. That the bravest thing anyone can do is hope when despair would be simpler. And that the most human thing of all is to look at a stranger and see not an enemy, but a person worth knowing.